Good time of day everyone, welcome back to your beloved Crazy House Chess Speedrun, the variant that really puts your testosterone level to the test. And without any further ado, let's get into today's content. Our first opponent is a 1900 rated Crazy House player, who also happens to be a whopping 2000 rated rapid guy from Mongolia. I am so dead. d4. d5. e3. That blocks his dark square bishop from coming out. I can safely go knight f6. Knight f3. Well, and since I haven't blocked my own bishop, bishop g4. Bishop e2. This guy doesn't seem to be very aggressive. e6. Castle. Bishop d6. Knight d2. Castle. Alright. Not many games we get to see both sides castle their kings before anything crazy happens. Normally I would be the one to kick off the tactical lines, but since I'm getting the black pieces and this guy just really doesn't create any weaknesses whatsoever, this is probably going to be a pretty long game. a3. My center is more active than his. c5. d takes c5. Bishop takes c5. The captured pawns aren't actually dead, they become reserved assets that can be put down once again to rejoin the battle at any time the players want. He immediately put down his pawn. Bishop d6. I'll keep my pawn though. Never mind. So this guy is suggesting me to do the exact same thing that I did to him, and he can also have an open c-file. But no, I'll attack his king instead. G takes h3. Bishop takes h3 will only get pawn respawns on g2 and I'll accomplish nothing. Bishop takes f3 instead. Bishop takes f3. Knight d7. C takes d5. E takes d5. Pawn lands on g2. And after all that trades, I still accomplish nothing. I have another open file though. Another pawn lands down on g3. Oh my god, now I don't know what is going on anymore. Nobody has ever placed 5 pawns around their king like this. Knight b6. He retreats his bishop. Aha. Pawn on g3 and retreating his bishop means he wants to push his f-pawn. Finally, this guy is about to make some aggressive moves. Rook c8. Putting the rook on an open file to prepare for the massive tactical line that is about to come. If he wants to play on the king side, I'll play on the queen side to avoid that massive chunk of pawns. Didn't happen. I'll still attack though. Knight lands on c2. Rook b1. And I sacrifice the rook. F takes c3. Knight takes c3. Queen b3. Knight takes f1. It's actually just sacrificing a knight for 2 pawns though, which I argue is actually a fair trade because the reserved pawns can be put down very far ahead, which helps them create the constant pressure of promotion. Bishop takes f1. I have an extra rook. Rook on e1 is quite fascinating. Knight lands on d3. I don't want to retreat. I'll counter-attack on his rook. I have too many pawns in reserve anyway. Need to use some of them. Knight takes c1. C takes b1, promoting to queen. Queen takes b1. Dude. Would you look at this? You know what? Now I understand that this guy is just a super only good defensive player. I sense absolutely no testosterone whatsoever. Oh my god, this is so annoying. Now I cannot lose this game or else everyone watching gonna switch to playing boringly defensively. Rook lands on d1. A pawn lands on c5, forking my pieces. Absolutely irrelevant. Rook takes c1. The pawn is pinned to his bishop. He cannot capture my pieces. A bishop lands on f2. Another super defensive move. There are a whopping 6 pieces and pawns standing around to defend his king. Thus I cannot retreat my rook because that kills the attack, and he's gonna put down both the other 2 rooks to also defend his king. Knight on e2 check. King h1. And I sacrifice the rook. Again. Knight takes c1. Knight c5. Okay, you know what? If I cannot checkmate his king, I'll go for the queen instead. And don't even worry that he's gonna capture my bishop. This guy only knows to defend. I can assure you he doesn't even think about making a capture on the other side of the board. Queen c2. And I sacrifice the knight. Queen takes c2. Pawn lands on d3. Queen back to d1. Pawn lands on e2, forking the pieces. Queen e1. He takes f1, promoting to queen. Capturing a promoted queen only gives my opponent a pawn. It doesn't matter which piece I make from it. Queen takes f1. The attack cannot stop. I'll sacrifice the bishop. Please take with the queen. Yes. Okay, the continuation isn't exactly very clear from here. But as I've managed to bring his queen next to his king, there should be more chances for us to take the woman, because unlike the king, the massive amount of pawns next to the queen is only limiting her activities rather than shielding her from my attacks. Pawn lands on e2. Now he can think about taking my other bishop. That will give me a precious tempo. Exactly. d2. Bishop takes d2. Knight takes d2. Okay, now he's gonna put a pawn on c5 to defend his loose d6 pawn. Because this guy is a defensive player. Absolutely. Bishop lands on f3. The woman is dead. He puts another bishop in his base to increase the defensive system, which is absolutely meaningless. Bishop takes g2 check. King takes g2. Holy f***, I never want to play against this guy ever again. This is absolutely annoying. This guy wasn't even playing chess. He was defending chess. You are going to lose your love on this beautiful game if you don't actually play the game. Queen lands on f1. Checkmate in one with my opponent's own queen. I didn't even move my queen a single time in this game. Crazy house chess speed run today. 100% win rate.